Welcome to the Bait Boys podcast, the podcast where the only question that matters is, do it catch fish though? My name's Jesse with Freek Baits Custom Fishing Lures, and as always, I am joined by my illustrious co-hosts, Trevor from Peak Baits and Anthony from Lazy Baits Co. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Doing just fine, thank you. And for the first time ever on the Bait Boys podcast, we have the honor of a guest, and it's not just any guest, but today we are joined by Viktor from Hun Lures. The man, the myth, the legend. Viktor, how are you, sir?
Great. I mean,
Such is the life of a bait maker, right? It's always kind of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to hang out with us.
We all feel. I'm good. I don't think so.
Well, again, thank you for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. We really appreciate you making time for us. But
Yeah, my pleasure.
yeah, we're gonna do a deep dive into the brain, one of the biggest brains in bait making, from what I understand, here in just a minute. But we do have a quick announcement to make. So if you watched our last episode, we announced the 3-color challenge. We put a post on Instagram to where people could go in and comment what colors they wanted us to use, and then we were going to pick the top 3, and then myself, Trevor, and Anthony will each paint a bait using those 3 colors. I would say featuring, what's a better word for it than featuring? Like, those are the main 3.
Incorporating.
Yeah, incorporating. There's a word out there somewhere.
Is it incorporating or limited to?
I would say you have to use those 3. They have to be a big part. Like you have to know it's there. But you can use other accent colors if you want to.
What do you think, Trev? You good with that?
Very good.
Okay. It's the original. Well, me and him did it last time. It was just the 3 colors. It was kind of tough with just the 3.
Listen, Anthony, things change. All right, I need you to get with the program.
Yeah, I love change a lot.
But anyway, we're going to announce those 3 colors, and I didn't look at the post. I have no idea what those colors are going to be. I think, Anthony, you're the only one that knows at this point, or maybe Trevor does. I don't know. I don't know. Victor, do you know?
Nope.
No.
I think I forgot to count. I believe it was orange. Orange was definitely number 1.
Okay.
And was it blue and purple?
I don't know. I specifically,
Why'd you leave anything to me?
Because you said you were going to do it.
Yeah, I did it the other day. Let's go orange, blue, and purple. I remember orange and blue, and I'm pretty sure the 3rd was purple.
We'll go with that for
Jesus.
now. We'll confirm. Just to make sure that it's orange, blue, and purple. But if it is, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be a fun.
Yeah, you guys are a couple months late. For Pride Month with those colors.
Yeah,
That's gonna be atrocious.
Oh, Pride Week is next week, isn't it? We're having a parade. It's like, okay, man.
Anywho. Orange, blue, and purple for now. I will flash it up on the screen now if that's correct, or if it's not correct, I'll flash up the words or the colors that it actually is. And I will remember to do it this time, because I know in the last episode I forgot everything that I was going to put on the screen, so hold me to it this time, okay, guys? But this time, yeah. So it's either orange, blue, and purple, or these 3 colors. But yeah, so the 3 of us will each be painting one of our own baits. So I'm going to be doing a slim, thick glide bait. Trevor, what are you doing?
I'll do a summit.
Your summit?
I'm gonna do a sleepy shad.
Sleepy shad. Okay, so all 2 pieces. Yeah, sounds good. Very similar. And then once we're done, give us a few weeks. I've got a lot of travel coming up, and plus I'm really slow to begin with. So give us a few weeks. We will post those on Instagram, and then you can go and vote for your favorite one. And then after we declare a winner, we'll be giving all 3 away to one lucky viewer. So that's all I have to say about that. Anything else to add, fellas?
Don't involve me in the next one as far as keeping count. Other than that,
You volunteered. It was your idea.
Yeah.
You wanted to make a spreadsheet. You're a spreadsheet dude, apparently. That's not me. That ain't me, bro. That ain't
I
me.
love me some spreadsheets.
Well, anyway, we're going to continue forward because we have a guest here. We're not going to waste any more of his time. So,
Yeah, no. Now to think of it, by the way, if you guys would blend those colors, those are exactly like the mojito color schemes.
What's a
Yeah.
mojito?
I think Baker
Really weird, the
Builds
drink.
had a couple of YouTube videos with these exact colors, and they came out gorgeously. It's like mojito, the drink. Yeah, that has. I think it's these three exact colors, and that blend was just gorgeous. Yeah.
it gives saltwater vibes to me.
Yeah.
that works. But no, we'll figure it out. We'll all three probably make some posts and reels and whatnot about it too, and maybe we'll post something on here as like a short video of a compilation of the three. But it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. No ETA on when we're going to have that done because we've all got a lot going on, but we're going to do it, and it's going to happen, and we're going to give them away. So we're excited about that. But on to our guest, Viktor. Thank you so much again for being here. I know that these guys, Anthony and Trevor, have talked. You all have conversed before and talked a lot about stuff, but you and I have never had the chance to really talk. So I'm going to be kind of learning everything on the fly here. So I'm excited about that. So if I ask a dumb question, please let me know. But
no dumb questions. I will be giving dumb answers. So
listen, I promise you are the smartest one in this group right now. So it's my stupidity knows no bounds, sir. Don't challenge me. But anyway, Viktor, I don't know. I know I'm very familiar with your work, and I'm a big fan. You do amazing just pieces of art when it comes to fishing lures.
Oh, thanks.
So tell me a little bit about your origin story. Like where did it all start for you when it comes to bait making?
Yeah, so actually it didn't really start that long ago. I only started making baits like 4 years ago, I think. And the main reason for that is that as you probably deciphered, I'm not from the US with this thick Eastern European accent and my name written with a K. Yeah.
I didn't even notice. I didn't.
Yeah, so that's actually where the store's name comes from, because I'm from Hungary. So Hungary is three-letter international abbreviation. It's HUN. And yeah, I grew up in Hungary. I only moved here in 2020. Yeah, late 2020. But I never fished in Hungary, actually. Like, the main reason for that is, like, I fished a couple of times when I was abroad, but never at home. And the main reason for that is Hungary is just atrocious for fishing. We have carp, basically. Like, okay, I mean, yeah. Technically I fished, but you guys know, like, traditional old guy carp fishing, where you just pre-chum the waters with corn and then crack open a cold one and sit there until you get hammered, and then realize that the fish took your rod like 4 hours ago. Yeah. Yeah, so that's fishing in Hungary, and so I moved here because of my work, because I'm a neuroscientist. I work at Emory University as a researcher, and I don't know. So I moved to Atlanta, and when I was researching Atlanta, a couple of interesting things came up, and one of these interesting facts were that there's only 3 large cities in the world where the city itself is built around a pretty big river, and that river is so clean and cold that it can actually support native trout populations. and Atlanta is one of them. I think there's a German and a Japanese city that are similar in that aspect. So I love eating trout. That's where I started. Trout fishing is still like one of my favorites. But then I pretty early on graduated into bass fishing because there's just a ton of ponds and lakes and whatever around me, and I got crazy addicted to it. That's just my personality. If I find something, then I will 110% dedicate myself to it. Like suddenly I started going out fishing at like 3 a.m., going to work at 7. I even found a little pond where I could spend my lunch break. So yeah, and also the other thing is that I just cannot sit down and read a book, or meditating is hell. It's torture. I need to do something, and I was always like pretty decent with my hands. My parents enrolled me in several like art classes, after school classes, sculpting, pottery, painting, oil painting, carving, etc., etc. All of these were different classes, and I was taking these throughout high school as well. And I just love tinkering, and I like I don't even know what's the word for it. Just you know, around with small stuff. That's what I like. Like, so, and also the third really important and reoccurring theme is that I'm a cheap ass. I'm one of the cheapest people around, and I hated how everything cost a ton of money. After a while, I got bored of Senkos and your run-of-the-mill Walmart frogs. I started looking around on Instagram, saw a couple of cool baits, saw how much they cost. Then I realized that okay, I'm not gonna be buying these, but I'm pretty sure that I can make these. So I started researching how much the cheapest compressor and airbrush and all of these would cost. And after a month of research, I found basically the cheapest combo, where I bought a master airbrush kit for $110. I'm still painting with that airbrush.
Wow.
And I found a video where a guy who was painting, I think it was Warhammer figurines or something like that, and he figured out a mixer combo where you can dilute your Walmart acrylic paint and paint with that. If I would be in my garage, you would see basically a wall filled with just apple barrel acrylic paints.
I've got a few of those right over here. Yep.
I own a single what's that, Createx airbrush paint, and that's white. That's it. And the only reason why I have white is because, as it turns out, white acrylic paints have this special pigment that you cannot mix with alcohol. It starts to gunk up, and it's just physically impossible. So I had to buy that, but I bit the bullet. So I spent that $7 on it, and yeah. I still use it sparingly, but yeah, I'm still using my $110 master combo and acrylic paint. And
does it look anything like this?
Hey, I got the
Yeah.
same one.
Yeah.
I broke mine. It doesn't work anymore, so I had to get it.
And I'm still painting every single bait with that. Like After a while, I heard that Toxic Baits is the one who still uses can paint.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
he sends out a couple of baits to other painters, and then there are a couple of lines that he paints with airbrush. But the majority of the stuff he still paints with rattle cans.
Wow.
And that's when I realized that okay, there's absolutely no shame in it. I mean, even if there's shame in it, I'm still gonna use that because whenever I'm picking up a loaf of bread or whatever, I'm just going by that aisle, and if there's clearance on something, I'm gonna buy it. I have literally every single color that Apple Barrel makes. It's getting ridiculous, but still, I have this. I think I'm up to like 150 colors, and the whole thing cost me around $70. So if I would do that from CreateX, I would have 5 colors, and that's it.
Yeah,
Literally.
definitely.
Yeah, so after I realized that I can actually make this cheap, because I can just go to Home Depot and buy poplar boards for like $4 and make at least 5-6 baits from that with a single utility knife. I was like, okay, let's give it a go, and still going strong because like it incorporates everything that I just love to do in my free time because I get to make shiny stuff. I love fish. I like painting fish. I you might have noticed, but I don't paint abstract color schemes. I just love how basically a fish is born when I'm painting it, when I'm applying those colors, and it starts to resemble a real fish more and more. And I also love just going out fishing, catching a fish, and then it's quite possible that someone would call this animal torture, but I'm just keeping that fish on the land and taking photographs for like 2 minutes straight because I want to know the shade of every single scale that that fish has, and it's right. It's the best hobby I ever had. I don't think that it will ever stop because I just need that little space for me. And, it's pretty relaxing. Unless we are talking about weighing stuff. Still hate the lead pot, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a tough one.
That's where it started, and I don't know. People seem to like what I do, so.
Yeah. Well, I can confirm people do like what you do because I'm one of them, and it's wildly impressive that you're using a master airbrush and apple barrel paint and creating the things that you do. Like it's proof that with enough skill you can make that happen. I don't have that skill, so I have spent entirely too much money on CreateX and Bloodline and Wicked and all that stuff. It doesn't really make me any better. I found that out, but hey, at least I have it now. The great thing about those apple barrel paints, though, I wanted to say whenever you brought that up, is they're so thick that when you can put a few drops in and dilute that and fill your brush with it, and those bottles will last forever. I have like 4 or 5 of them that I use because I couldn't find the right color elsewhere, and I saw a similar video where somebody, I make my own reducer now, and I use that, and you can reduce it down to thin enough to shoot through an airbrush, and it lasts.
Yeah, the guy with the spoons.
Yes, yeah.
I've seen that one. I've even tried that with the spoons.
Yeah, and also the other thing, this is just a little bonus tip for anyone who was dumb enough to follow that guide as I did. But the thing is that you can use that reducer and then add like 2 drops of polyacrylic. It's perfectly clear. It won't affect the pigment, but it will become rock solid. Like you brush it on, and after a minute or two, it completely dries, and you cannot even smear it. You cannot smudge it. Uh, I started using that when I was painting scales on crankbait, and I was using this. What's the material? You know, the laundry bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, for scales. And whenever I clip that on, I always scratched my paint. But if I added polyacrylic, it just became like indestructible. And it's clear. And I bought a can of polyacrylic 2 years ago. I'm still using that can. Yeah.
Yeah. I use it as a mid coat. I've never thought about actually adding it into the reducer though. That I'll have to try that. That's
Yeah. It works amazingly.
Speaking of scale, speaking of scales, can we talk about the video you sent me yesterday, where you had the microscope or the magnifying glass, and then it busted out a second magnifying glass, and he's sitting there with a paintbrush with like three hairs doing each scale, and I'm like, dude, I never want to see my baits up that close. You're out of your mind. Each scale
Yeah,
under a
yeah,
magnifying glass.
yeah. Because sometimes you get these bluegills that have the towards the belly and the tail. Uh, you have these different looking, like differently shaded scales. Some of them are like greenish, some of them are orangish, some of them are brownish, and I just wanted to try it out whether I can do that. Because luckily on these sunfish baits, the scales are pretty big, and I can paint them easily. But yeah, I went on Timu and I found this was a motherboard soldering kit. So it's basically it's a really cool stuff. You have a base with batteries and backbone, and from that backbone you have this magnifying glass. Below that you have two clips. You can clip your motherboard onto it, but you can easily just clip the ion eyes, hook eyes, whatever. And that magnifying glass has like three other magnifying glasses that you can put on it. It also has a little lamp that bends in, and it was $3, I think. So like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need that. Yeah,
can't beat
yeah.
that.
I like painting with my hands. It it's pretty fun because like I wouldn't paint anything but with hand for mass production. All of these baits are going out to people who I hold dearly. Like this one is the one that I sent yesterday. That one's going out to my wife's boss, and I painted one for one of my good friends. And most of these I just paint for myself because I'm not gonna spend 5 hours painting something for someone else. Definitely not.
That's fair.
Because it's not everyone's cup of tea as well. So uh, I don't like putting something on Instagram and they love it, they purchase it, and I have to replicate it. There's just so much variability there that I might use the wrong shade of green or brown or whatever. Yeah, yesterday, Anthony, when I sent you that video after that, my hand slipped, so I had a huge gouge on the bait, so I had to spend like another hour cleaning that up. Yeah, it was not fun because basically what I was doing is this bluegill has these shades, but I want some of these bluegills have these stripes, and on both sides it has darker scales, and the middle of it is kind of hollow. So that's what I wanted to replicate. Yeah, it was fun.
That is like
Fun.
super analyzing the fish. Do you
Yeah.
have a reference picture you're looking at the whole time?
Oh yeah. Every single time I have the reference picture, and I started going into Photoshop and just analyzing the colors individually, because most of the times I just look at something and I cannot for the word of it figure it out what that color is. Like that annoys me. Like, you know, these flash colors. There's no Apple Barrel doesn't make this, so like, okay, that's when I'm stumped and I have to figure out how to mix these colors.
Well, I'd say
That's
you're
why.
pretty good at figuring it out. It looks like you found it. Whatever the color is, you found it. So that's
Also, you know, like you mentioned that, Jesse, you mentioned that you don't have the skills or whatever. Like most of these take absolutely no skills, because actually the hard part is making the bait and just figuring out the actual 3D pattern of it. And after that, I'm just spraying everything from like this distance, because the only trick is how to make these amazingly detailed is I'm just painting it with solid black and then wiping it off after like a minute. And that leaves all the scale, I don't know if, yeah, all these scales in between these indentations, it will remain black. But I'm wiping the black off from the surface. So I'm already starting with black and white, really detailed something, and I just have to lightly add colors to it from the distance. That's it. And that carries the, like, these scale patterns will carry the whole thing. I don't even have to, like, there's no skill involved in this. I was lucky because
I don't think he's giving himself enough credit
I
here.
don't think I believe you. I mean, I believe your process. I don't think I believe you on the whole no
It
skill
is
requirement
a
thing.
good process, but
Yeah.
he
No,
definitely needs some skill.
yeah.
yeah, like, you know, there are these small glides. This took me like 2 minutes to paint, because it's
I
just
have one of
literally
those. I
just
saw it in
silver.
person. That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's
2
just
minutes.
silver, just bronze, and some gold. That's it. But like the actual 3D shape of it is so good that I can just be lazy with painting. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's let me ask you, because your baits look incredibly realistic, and I know you do carving, and you are some of those look a little too good to be carved. So
Yeah.
do you cast real fish? Like, do you make molds of real fish at any point, or how do you? What's your process for that? Like what is that? If you're cool with sharing your secrets, you don't have to go completely in detail. But I need to know how you get to that level of detail.
Yes, so some of these are, this is like a multi-step process, but I mean, you know, to make a bait like this, the first one that I can actually paint, it takes me a crazy long time, because what I started deep diving into fish taxidermy. Because you know how in the past, like, you had these old guys who caught a 10-pounder and then took it home and put it on the wall, and it looked like, you know, weirdly shaped turd after like 10 years. But since then, people started making these replicas, and I got interested in the process because I realized that, okay, I'm a perfectionist, and I wanted to make the most realistic looking bait ever. The guy who was and still is one of my idols is Zorba Bait. Yeah, that glide is really closely good. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out how he made that, because I also realized that there's no way to carve that. There's just absolutely no way to carve that. And it's not a human limitation, it's a material limitation. There's just no material out there that you can deform freely to that detail, because after a while, wood will start to chip, and you would see those, like, I, even if you are carving balsa or something ridiculously homogeneous, those fibers would show up. And Anthony knows this because I have these things that, if I cannot figure it out, it bugs the hell out of me, and I keep talking about it for weeks and months. Like the soft plastic guys that we've been talking about for a long time. Knockout Chick, Tommy Boy, Bates, and yeah, there are a couple of amazing soft plastic guys out there. So because of that, I started diving into taxidermy, and I watched a ton of videos and read blogs how these people actually made the master replicas. And they had this crazy long process that involves bondo and plastic fiber, epoxy, everything. But you have to be really fast with it, so there are a couple of really weird materials involved. And after you are done with that, you have to actually shape your bait shape your fish to look like a bait, because weirdly enough, fish are not I would not perfectly suited for their shape is just not perfectly suited for swimming. If you just cast a fish in silicone and make a bait out of it, it will swim precociously.
That's interesting.
Dead fish aren't shaped for swimming.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a weird process. After that, so I'm casting this real fish that I caught in Bondo, and it's disgusting. It looks like a Frankensteinian monster at the end. But after I actually made the bait, I pour epoxy in it, but not the polyurethane one, but the basic 2-part 6-hour epoxy, and then pull it out after like 4 hours when it's still malleable. And then I just start playing with it and shaping it, because it needs to have a flatter belly, because it won't swim. I need to put the nose a bit more down, because if I put the thigh eye this high, then I will just keep jerking it upwards. So it needs to come down, and I need to play with that. And after like 10 minutes, I realized that okay, I left it full of fingerprints and everything, so I can just throw it out and start again. But once I end up with something that I finally like, and it conforms to the standard swim bait shape without compromising realistic fish proportions. So what I mean about that is, just the classics, like it has to be wider up here, it has to be more narrow down here, but it has to have enough belly so I can drill into it and put lead in it. It cannot be too narrow, because it also needs to glide on this side of the belly, etc., etc. Once everything is satisfied, then I'm letting it dry, and then I'm making the silicone mold. And those silicone molds are, unfortunately, they are downstairs, but yeah, I will send you guys a picture of it. I think I already sent Anthony one, because those are the funniest things out there. Like Anthony's molds are just ridiculously clean and so good looking. And the mold for this swim bait has a very integral part, which is large sized Coke cup from McDonald's. That has to be the supporting structure. Because I actually cast it in it. So like what I did is I started dangling the bait, and then I put McDonald's cup under it, and then I started like I think I carved something around it. No, it was like a toilet paper roll or something that I pushed into the cup, and then I poured the silicone around it, so it actually has this weird shape. And then I just cut it around the belly, but it still needs that McDonald's cup. Otherwise, it would just spill everywhere. So, yeah, it's as professional as it gets.
So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if McDonald's ever changes their cups again?
He has
Yeah, I have the cup.
He'll never get rid of that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Guard that cup with your
Yes.
life.
yeah. So that's where I got really lucky by making friends with Anthony, because
He's handy to have
Nice.
around.
yeah, with the 3D scanner, I sent him almost every single bait that I have. He is scanning them, so I can start making professional looking molds. I'm still on the fence there how I should make it, because I really don't want to leave a seam line up here, because basically all of my like every single fish I cast in a single part, and I'm cutting them up and drilling it by hand, etc., etc. And the reason for that is that I don't like seam lines. So once I cast my master, I'm only cutting the mold like down to this line on one side. I want to leave the pectoral fins perfectly in one piece without any interruption, and then I'm just forcing and yanking it out. So yeah.
So I have a question. Is the 3D scanning more because you want to be able to modify the model?
Yeah.
Okay. Rather than the mold? Because I don't know. I feel like the McDonald's cup and just the simplicity of it, it shows. Can I show one of the baits that you sent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's very over. It's too bright. It looks just white, but it works. So, why change it unless you actually want to change the shape?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I want to change it is because I want to expand the lineup a bit. And for example, like I'm not perfectly satisfied with this sunfish. I just converted these ones to a 3-piece. They just swim much better, because for some reason it took me this long to realize that if I leave this third section just crazy floppy, it tracks the water perfectly, and then it will keep the nose perfectly straight the whole time, because this had the tendency to blow out if you were really reeling it back in. But one of the reasons for that is this is not like I was not really successful with this bait, converting it to a classic swim bait shape, because it's slightly wider down here than up here. So I have to put a crazy amount of lead in it, and then it's just not wide enough to support that much lead, etc., etc. And also, like it would be really cool if I could just in Blender cut this into 3 parts, have a mode for the back section, have a mode for the middle section, and have like 3 different modes for the front. Swim bait, wake bait mode, where I can just put the lip in, and trank mode. And I only need to print the head 3 times. instead of making a huge block of silicone for every single thing in the line. So yeah, I want to modify it, and then I also want to play with the heads a lot.
Yeah, who doesn't love playing with heads?
Yeah.
No, and I saw you posted something recently that you do a lot of stuff digitally as well, right? Like that you're.
Yeah.
Have you always done that, or is that just something new for you, or is that? What?
No, I picked up Blender like a year ago.
What?
Yeah.
I can't figure out Blender. I can kind of
Me
mess
neither.
with Fusion, but
Jeez.
Blender is beyond me. I have it installed on this laptop that we're talking on right now, and I've opened it maybe twice because I opened it and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I back off of it and go back into Fusion, where I kind of almost know what I'm doing.
Listen, the other day, I spent all day trying to figure out how to do the simplest thing. Could not figure it out, but I like to try to figure something out myself. And then I told him what I was trying to do, and he's like, "Oh, that's so easy. 20 seconds, fixed." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I literally spent 8 hours trying to figure this out." And it's just like nothing. He's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm rather obsessive. Like once I set my mind on Blender, I just have to figure that shit out. And that means that I'm at a red light, I'm googling Blender. I'm on the can, I'm looking at Blender forums. I'm walking Siggy outside, and I'm looking up Blender stuff. And yeah, that was just my life during those couple of months. And you know, like that's the thing. The reason why I think I have a much easier time with Blender than you guys is because I didn't start with Fusion. I don't have Fusion installed, so like I know that it's a completely orthogonal logic
Yep.
compared to Fusion, because Fusion is when I was looking into these different softwares, there was a YouTube video that broke it down uh, really geniusly. They said that there are softwares that you use for architectural and engineering designs, and there are softwares that you use for organic designs. And Fusion is entirely engineering and architectural tailored, and anything that has sculpting and then really great sculpting features, those are more organic software, organic tailored. So that's where I started in Blender. I never picked up Fusion, so you know I don't have any confusion in that. I absolutely understand that you know if you started with a different logic, then Blender is not easy. I have this problem with other softwares, but yeah, I like tinkering with that. Again, that's one of my it's along the same lines as painting every scale individually, because in Blender I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just going in there and for every single scale I'm just like the other day I was googling forums for fish biologists who were using semi-super resolution microscopy to look at scales to see whether scales, you know, sometimes they have these veins. Yeah, so I wanted to figure out how those veins look like and whether the veins are more dominant than the rings in each scale, because I wanted to put it in Blender, and then I realized that I created the file that was like 30 gigabytes and my computer crashed. So yeah, no. That's again just being obsessive about stuff.
Well, it shows. It shows in your work. I mean, it's they're you incredibly. There goes again. I can't words today. Incredibly realistic work. Fish things.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's great. And you're yeah. So you kind of you take all approaches to to anything at your disposal. Like there's no, because some people are traditionally, I'm going to carve wood and that's all I'm going to do, and some people are traditionally, I'm going to make molds and cast, and some of us are kind of in between where we dabble in both worlds, and it's, but
Yeah.
you like to, and it sounds like you innovate some stuff too. Like you are coming up with your own processes and your own ways to create these amazing lures. Yeah.
Yeah, there are absolutely some things where I realized that there are some questions where the fishing or bait making community doesn't really have the answers for that, and then I start looking at other fields. That's where the taxidermy came in, for example, and also the blender stuff, because there's just not many people who use these, and then they are like, I feel like the swim bait making community especially is kind of in a rut, because everyone's doing pretty similar swim baits, definitely not throwing shade at you guys. I'm talking about the semi top sold out guys who are like doing the same exact thing over and over and over again, and then new guys come into the scene and realize and look at this and then see how popular clutch is, and they make a clutch clone, and that's the ugliest shit in the world. Okay, it will catch fish because I'm sure that it took them years to develop that bait profile, and it would take me around 30 seconds to replicate that design in Blender, because it's symmetric in almost every axis except from front to back. That's the only axis where it differs, but and therefore it will be extremely glidable and whatnot, but it's just ugly.
So Victor,
Yeah.
I've heard this prior to us meeting and us recording this podcast. I've heard that you and I have a similar opinion on a specific company that you just mentioned. As far as and listen, if anybody's listening and they're fans of clutch baits, they make great. I mean, their baits catch fish.
It catches
no
fish.
doubt about it. But here's where, and I used to subscribe to Clutch because I was like, I want to figure out how they get that great action. And then I saw a video that they posted about a year ago where they were talking trash on people who do super detailed paint jobs and carving and things like that. You may have seen the same video where they're like, don't let these guys catch you. This is all you need. And I'm like, and I wouldn't have had a single problem with that video if they didn't charge $250 for their glorified chunk of resin, right? If they were selling them for $40-$50, cool. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. I would have no issue with it. But if you're going to sit and trash talk people who actually put effort into, and yes, they did put effort into the design, into the function of the bait. I'm not taking away from that. I just want to clarify. But whenever it comes to the look of the bait, you're right. They're ugly. They don't look good. And fish don't care. Fish really don't.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Fish don't care, so good for them. But don't talk trash about people who are trying to make, they're taking a more artistic approach to it, and they're taking a more, like, they want to make something that's beautiful as well as functional.
Yeah.
And then sell your baits for $250.
Yes, exactly. That's the essence of it, because I can name another company who, and all of these things that I'm saying, it comes from the artist in me. It doesn't come from the fisherman, because as a fisherman, I would buy those baits.
Absolutely.
As someone who likes to make fancy stuff, I don't like their approach. So let me name another company who makes a fishing bait that I don't consider appealing, or like, okay, in the past 2 years they kind of changed up, why I consider them to be one of the ugliest baits out there, and it catches fish, but they are selling it at an amazing price point, and that's Mike Book. Yeah, the bullsheds, again, ugly looking bait, catches a ton of fish, it outfishes every single one of us, and I think the whole bait making community. as a whole. Amazing functionality, and they are selling it at a really amazing price point. That's why I have all the respect in the world for them. And you know, in recent years, they actually started coming out with these crazy detailed ABS baits. Like I have one of their bluegills, looks amazing. And who's the lady who paints there?
Jekyll.
Yes, she's doing some amazing work. Yeah, I love those. My beef with all of these companies is just kind of laziness, because I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't hurt the glideability of a bait if you would put a little bit more effort into the paint scheme.
Make it worth $250. Make it
Yeah.
worth it. Like make it.
Yeah, but then throwback baits comes out with something that's yellow in the bottom and pink on the top, and
People
it's
go nuts.
$250. Yeah, like
People
it's
go
the
nuts.
new yeah, it's the new summer color, and I'm like, what?
Another bait that catches fish. Another, like I've seen
Yeah.
people catch huge fish on
Yeah.
throwback baits, but it's like make it. Which
Yeah.
I like the what do they call it? Strawberry lemonade or something like that. The
Yeah, yeah,
color.
Pink
Like
lemonade.
or pink lemonade. That's right. I like the color combination, but I'm like,
Yeah.
and I would gladly pay $40 for that bait. Gladly, like I wouldn't even think about it because it catches fish, and I know I'm going to catch fish if I buy that bait, and it looks kind of cool. But I'm not. Yeah, it's. I don't understand
but-
it. Yeah.
I just see the mentality. Why aren't you putting like 3 more colors on it on a little pattern? And the answer there is because I don't need to.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the why are you charging $200 for a bait? Because I can. And
See, that's the part I don't understand. That's the part. It's like I know how much you have now. Research and development, that's a different story. There's a lot of time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears that go into that. I've done it. I know what that's like. We've all done it. We all know what that's like.
Yeah.
And yes, there is something to be said for that. But the materials and the time that you have into the actual manufacture of the bait, $250? Couldn't you sell them for $75 and sell more of them
Yeah.
and still make the same amount of money? Like, still make them possibly more?
Yeah. This is my most expensive bait. This costs $180, and there's a sole reason why I priced it here. It's because I don't like painting this bait. Like, no, if you really want to buy it, then buy my hatred. Like, that's what you are painting for.
I love it.
Like,
I love it.
If I don't have to paint another largemouth bass for the rest of my life, I'm fine with it. That's why I priced it there, because when I priced it at 120, it was still worth it. I was still making money on it, but I was kind of loading the time that I put into it, because I just didn't like. It gave me absolutely no pleasure to throw on 3 colors on a bait and then sit at the lead pot for like half an hour and try to put enough weight in this. Yeah, that's why I priced it there, because honestly, yeah, don't buy it. I'm happy with the 2 I have, and the others, the others that I like to make, I price them reasonably, and I also try to have lineups that are tailored for more budget conscious people. Like, I think this thing went for like $45. I had the chipmunk or field rat or whatever that we are now making with Anthony, hopefully in the future. This went for $50, $60, something like that. And I recently again picked up my wooden glides, and these also cost like $50, I think. So yeah, I still have I feel bad for pricing some of these baits this high, but you're either paying for my time where I'm putting in the effort and the 16 colors that goes into this one, or you're buying my hatred with this one. But
You're buying my hatred. I love that. You know, I recently built I challenged myself to build a tiny, as small as I could manage, but as detailed as I could manage at the same time, bluegill 2-piece.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I saw that.
And I posted it on Instagram, and I made a YouTube video about it, and it was on Facebook as well. And I had a couple people reach out to me on Facebook saying, "Hey, I want to buy one of these." And I said, "No, you don't." I said, "A, it doesn't work very well. I haven't figured out the mechanics of it yet. It doesn't work that great. B, you would never pay the amount of money. I wouldn't let you pay the amount of money that I would need to make it worth for me to make another one of these. I would have to charge you $300 to make another one, just because that's how much I hated making that bait. But I will.
That's it. Only 300.
At least, I would have to charge at least.
I think it was probably closer to 6.
They would
I
go
watched
up,
the video.
They would go up the more I made. The next one would be 300. The one after that would be 400. It would go up by $100 each time, and it's not worth that by any means. I'm not saying it's worth that, but I don't want to do that again. I don't. 4 inches or bigger, right? Like that's where I'm gonna stick with, because that's where my big dumb hands can operate. Where I'm not gonna. Yeah, it was an experience. I did learn a lot, mainly that small things suck, but I get what you're saying. Like, if you want to buy it, you're going to buy my hatred. And that's why I didn't even post that one on the website. I'm not going to, because it doesn't work. And it doesn't, I mean, it looks okay, but it doesn't, but nobody will pay the amount of money that it's worth to me. So I get what you're saying, like buying my hatred, because I have a lot of hatred. It's hanging up over there, or else I'd grab it. But I have a lot of hatred hanging up in that 2 1/4 inch glide or swim bait.
Actually, it's stuck in the ceiling from him throwing it after he was done.
Yeah. No,
because
I'm going to catch a fish on it. I'm going to catch at least one fish on it before I put it up for good.
Yeah.
But I'm not done with it yet.
Yeah, because that's the difference. Like the trout and the largemouth bass, they are roughly the same size. I mean, in length. But I love painting trout. That's the thing. Is like I'm begging people to buy my trout because I want to paint more trout, not because I want the money. I want to paint more trout. And I have like 20 of them in my garage. Yeah.
No, that's we went off a little sidetrack, and one last time I will clarify for everybody watching: we're not hating on these companies. There's just some things that don't make sense to us. That's our opinion. Like, they obviously are successful at what they do, and people love their baits. So like they're doing something right. It's just our humble opinions that I don't get why it costs $250.
So I'm gonna play Trevor here and be devil's advocate. Do you think it's part of it is because as they grow as a company and get employees and put more into marketing, that like for us that are just a one-man show, it's different than when you're running a company and have overhead and employees, and that's where some of the price comes from?
I could see some of it, yeah, but not the amount. Not from a production standpoint, because I mean I've worked in manufacturing before. I used to work for Tracker Boats for 2.5 years, and they didn't pay their employees that much, and they were charging a lot for those boats. So it was. I get that, yes, you're going to have some overhead, you're going to have some expenses that you have to factor into your end product, but when we're talking, you have maybe $5 worth of material in it, and the fact that it's not taking a lot of labor, it's not taking a full hour to build and paint, and then you're selling it. So, okay, even if you're paying that person $30 an hour, okay, you have $35 in this bait now. Packaging, another 60 cents. So $35.60 in this, and then you're turning around and selling it for, a 224, I don't know if I did that math right, dollar profit. Like,
I think the darter is just like, I don't know. That one's off the charts. It's hard to compare any bait to that one. I'm not sure where that price even comes from.
It catches fish and people will pay it. That's where it comes from. I don't blame them for it. I don't blame
because it's proven.
Yeah, I mean, people will pay it, and if they want to buy it, they're. I mean, if people want to buy it, why not sell it? If they will buy it for $250, why not sell it for two? I don't blame them. I mean, that's capitalism 101, and I'm a fan of it. So it's. I'm not. I don't have any hate from that aspect. I just don't understand the
Also,
mentality
it
behind
drives
it.
the market.
Yeah, it drives the market.
It's good for us, so I'm not throwing shade at it. And if someone would approach me and would say that, okay, I have like $400 and I want to get into bigger swim baits, what should I buy? Or like glide baits? I would tell them clutch or throwback, because I know that those guys with those baits, every single bait will be the same, down to a T. It's just mass produced, it's tried and true. So I would definitely recommend those baits. The everything that I said, it comes from an artistic and autistic standpoint. But I actually think that they kind of dug themselves in a hole the past couple of years, because there are a couple of these bigger companies that expanded like crazy during COVID, because they believed that this tendency will just keep going up. And like, I talked to a lot of people about this, but you know how during COVID, social distancing, everything, and people just started fishing because that made sense. You could be outside, but still away from everyone. And suddenly everyone had all this disposable income because they didn't spend it in the movies or restaurants or wherever. And they could buy expensive baits, but then so that drove the market upwards, and that's when all of these companies just started hiring more people, expanding into more production lines, and they made a ton of investments that should have paid out during the next couple of years. But then as soon as the quarantine was lifted, people started going back to their old lives, and they just didn't spend that much. And pretty soon these companies found themselves in a not that advantageous position. Like, since KGB swim baits started, they had the same price for their baits for that like 10 years. And last year they had to drop it and not by $10. I think like $40 or something like that. They dropped the price on their baits, and I have all the respect for those baits. I think the KGB swim baits are the baits that have the most amount of R&D going into them in terms of functionality. But yeah, they pretty much show the state of the market right now, and unfortunately, these bigger companies like Clutch and Throwback and Elude, etc., they just expanded too quickly, and because of that, they have to charge higher prices and keep the prices up to recuperate their investment, which is still good for us. But
that's
I
understandable.
don't know when this will end.
Just don't post videos trash talking small bait makers that try to actually put some effort into it. That was my one. That was the tipping point for me. I didn't bat an eye. I was like, wow, $250. I probably wouldn't buy it for that, but people are, and they're very popular. Then they posted that video, and I'm like, no, I'm done. I lost a lot of respect after they were like, don't let these lure painters catch you. I'm like, why? What was the point of that? Like, you're already winning. You're already selling a ton of baits, and you're selling them for a premium price. Why you gotta trash talk? You're already popular. But anyway, we'll move on from this. I'm sorry that that was my own personal rant because I heard that we were kindred spirits in the animosity whenever it comes to these larger bait companies and what they do. Again,
it comes from envy as well, because that's
absolutely.
That's the life that we want. Just making baits full time, like that would be so sweet, so sweet. And they made it. they made it with basic ass looking baits, and that bugs the crap out of me.
They did. They did. Trevor, what do you think?
Yeah, it's envy.
I can agree with you.
Yeah, that's the first. That's the first thing you said in like 20 minutes.
It's good.
You doing all right over there?
Very good.
No, you're good.
Did you have a long day of tattooing?
I just had a long day.
A long day period. This is a long day. You're good, man. I'm just giving you a hard time. You jump in whenever you want to. Otherwise, you're doing just fine, buddy. Don't worry about it. So my next question for you, Victor, is it's kind of a silly question, but it tells you a lot about a person whenever you ask him this question. And I need to know, what is your favorite lure of all time? And it can be one of yours, or it can be a different one. Just something. What is your, if you had just a couple of casts to catch a fish, and you needed that confidence bait to step up, what would it be?
I mean, my favorite bait by far is one of the baits that I made, but not for fishing. If you're asking about my like desert island bait, then it's a Yamamoto Senko. I just love Yamamoto Senkos, but a bit because I can rig it any which way, and I like. It's not even the action or the amount of fish I catch on it. It's the fact that I can put on cargo short. I can put Yamamoto Senko in one pocket and put an EGV, a net rig hook, and a couple other like basic bass hooks, and I can just and maybe like 2 weights, and I can drop shot, I can just free float it, I can net rig it, I can do basically anything with it. That I don't need to carry a tackle box with me. That's why I just love it for the versatility. But by far my favorite bait that I hold dearest to my heart is a crankbait, and one specific crankbait pattern. It was a bluegill with like silver and black scales and red belly. Yeah, it was a decently nice looking bait, and I still throw it. But when I started out, I put the baits on eBay, and nobody was buying anything until I put that bait on. And that was my first sale, and that was my second sale, and my third. And I sold, I think, around 60 of those, and then I sold one of my other baits, which was just a basic like sexy shit pattern. And I just kept selling this one, and that one was a pain in the ass to paint. I hate it. I really hated painting it because the scales were two-toned. So basically there was a red undertone, and I put this laundry bag on top of it, and there was a silver base for the scales, and then I started just freehanding whatever with black on top of it, and shaded it. But that meant that I actually needed to, for every single bait, I needed to paint it with silver, then clean my airbrush out, black, and then go to the next bait, silver, and then wash it out, and then black. Because I didn't have helping hands. I only had one of these soldering helping hands, so I could only paint a single crankbait at a time. And as I put the scales two-toned, if I painted 50 baits, that meant that for the scales I needed to clean my airbrush 100 times. So yeah, but still, that's where everything started, and that was my logo for a long time. That was what gave me the initial capital to expand into wooden baits and buy equipment and whatever. And yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
I like it. I like it. Yes, and I'm a fan of soft plastic worms as well. It's just they work. They work, and like you said, they're very versatile and they're easy to pack around. So I completely agree with you there.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who stuffs my cargo shorts with lures. That's what I do when I leave work and I stop at the lake. I don't even bring my bag. I just whatever I can shove in my pockets. A handful of worms and this one, a crankbait that hopefully has some hook covers on it. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We'll see when I take it out of my pocket later.
Well, then I think all of us know that specific scream when the wife opens up the washing machine.
That one. Oh,
Yeah, and you left lead weights and hooks and split rings in your cargo shorts.
I
it
like
happens. It happens. It happens. What can you do about it? But no, I got one more question for you. Me personally, and then I'll open it up to these other guys to jump in and ask any questions that they want. But do you have any advice for anybody that's out there looking at what we all do on a daily basis? Do you have any advice for anybody thinking about getting into bait making other than don't? That would be my advice, but I'm going to claim that one. So, but anybody that's actually genuinely wanting to start, do you have any advice for them starting out as a brand new bait maker?
Yeah, I think one of the worst advices that people always give to new bait makers, and then what derails a lot of budding bait makers, is to come up with your own stuff and don't copy other people's lures and what. No, just do that. Just do that for the first year or so. Just try to copy bait. Just look at marling baits or whatever videos and just copy those baits, because that's how you get practice. That's how you make a bait that you actually get to fish and enjoy and appreciate the fruit of your labor, and then you can start experimenting with stuff. But I saw so many people who, these new Instagram accounts that pop up continuously, and you see the first post with a bait that just looks something that would need to defy the laws of physics and have a portable hadron collider with it to actually swim it right. It's a bait that makes absolutely zero sense. Like, they come out of the gate with like a hammerhead shark or whatever that has no chance of swimming normally.
Not true. I
Yeah,
painted
I
a
know.
hammerhead shark, and Zach Finds Fish caught one on it. I was like, what? I
Yeah, I
couldn't
know.
believe it.
That still amazes me. That still amazes me. I know. I remember you telling me this.
That doesn't mean it swam right. That just means that a fish ate it, and fish are dumb. So
Yeah, they're pretty dumb.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm familiar with how that bait swims, and the thing is that if you just make something suspending and you put the lead on each end of the bait and just slow pitch it, then obviously it will swim and it won't turn upside down. So you can swim it, but as soon as you start gripping it, it will like throw somersaults and whatever in the water.
I've had a few do that.
Oh yeah, mine always do that. Yeah, so I think people just don't practice enough. That's the thing, is that they don't have, like, most of the people, like new people who I talk to, they don't have that intuitive understanding of how a bait should look like. Like, and it's not their fault. They are just starting out. Like, oh, that's obvious. But how do you start making production level baits if you have never experimented with, different types of hinges or connections, if you have never made connections with hinge pins or those double loop, whatever elbow joints, or like all these different kinds of connections, and until you haven't fished those, and you don't know how it affects the action, like whether you need, okay, just basic things. Do you need to round this out, or do you need to leave this flat, or do you need to put a V indent in it, like this one? Okay, how will those behave? Until you have made all these different baits by copying what other people did, like you have absolutely zero chance of finding your own stuff that works. And I there's absolutely no shame in copying people. I think of it as like paying homage to people and then learning from them. But I just don't see many people doing that.
Well, because you also there are some haters out there that even if you're not trying to sell baits, so if you just got into it and you're posting pictures on Instagram or Facebook or social media in some way, just say, hey, look at what I made. I'm not trying to sell this to anybody. Just look at what I made. Inevitably, you're going to have some jackwagon that comes in and says, that looks just like a blah, blah, blah. And it's like, like that. If it weren't for those people, that person would have never, like they were initially proud of what they did. Now, then you start questioning, well, I didn't even know that bait existed. Like I was just making something, but there's so many variations in baits out there that it's hard not to find some similarity between one and another, right? So it's people need to just be understanding whenever somebody says, "Hey, I've got this new hobby that I want to try, and here I'm going to post some pictures of the things that I make." Be supportive. Yeah. Say, "Hey, it looks great. Good job. How does it swim? Have you fished with it yet? You caught anything with it yet?" Just be supportive of that, because I completely agree. The best way to start out is try to make something that exists. That gets you used to the tools. It gets you used to the process, and then start innovating. Start making weird stuff, and start trying to figure things out.
And also the other thing is that I don't like the people who get into this with the wrong mindset. If they think that I'm gonna start making baits and start making money, that just won't pan out. We all know that. But if you get into this with the mindset of I will start making baits because, as we said, I'm not paying $250 for something that I can make from a board of poplar
with $1,000 worth of tools. That part doesn't count. That doesn't count because you can make a lot of them. It'll pay for itself eventually, right?
Yeah. So if you want to make something for yourself and you have some disposable income and free time and like tinkering, that's the best mindset to get into this. But don't get into it with the idea that you're gonna make it big and earn a ton of money and whatever.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be passionate about it, right? Like you have to. You have to love it in order to continue doing it. Because we talk about on this, the 2 episodes that we've had prior and our conversations just amongst each other, we talk about the struggle of it all. The things that we like, just the things that I'm bald, and I wasn't before I started making baits. I was, but I compared it to an abusive relationship, right? So you love it and you really enjoy it, but it's not always fun. It's not always enjoyable in the moment. There are times.
Sometimes you have to clear coat.
Man, I wish I didn't. But yeah. But it's what makes it all worth it, right? Like once you pull it off and that clear coat's on there and it's shining and looks beautiful, that you kind of forget about the pain that you went. Not entirely, but you forget about that pain.
That's the other reason why I don't like these baits, is because it's just so realistic here that the clear coat will pull up, and then I hang it up and walk away, and then end up with a thick stream of clear on the side. Every single time. So then I have to go back and file it down. But if I'm not careful enough, then I will file into the paint and I can throw paint. So file it down and then put another coat on it, and it will have the same exact problems, etc. etc. It's just crazy art to clear countries. Yeah, baitmaking is not always fun.
Yeah, completely agree.
You know, it's the same as fishing. A bad day of baitmaking is better than a good day of work.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Great. Do you guys have any questions for Viktor? Anything you want to know that we haven't covered already? I mean, I've learned a ton already. Like you brought up things I never even thought to do, so didn't even know were possible.
Yeah. I don't have any questions. I think I ask him enough questions every day.
That's
But
right.
I appreciate your help with everything, genuinely, because um, you know, I try to help other people, and sometimes people don't want to, you know, share the knowledge they have, but that's not you at all. It's like we just bounce ideas back and forth, and I have this problem, and you have this suggestion, and I think it's what makes this community special. You know,
Yeah.
all three of us. I had issues with clear coat. Trevor helped me. You know, I had issues with painting. I'm like, Jesse, how did you paint the gills on that? I don't understand. And he told me exactly what he did, and I got the stuff to do it. But it's like, you know, it's what makes the community special. And yeah, I appreciate your help, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I think you kind of blew my mind today.
Yes.
You already do every day, but just hearing you talk about stuff I didn't know, and I'm like, what?
Oh,
There's more to him?
uh, have, like, I just realized this a couple days ago or weeks ago. I don't know. I'm crazy tired. I slept exactly 23 minutes last night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I started. I found a company on Amazon who sells chopped up glass fiber that you like little strands that are like this long. You know, I'm a guy who doesn't speak freedom units, so let's say 2 millimeter
That's
thick.
okay. It's okay.
Well, yeah, and pretty flat, like a sheet of paper thickness. So it's perfectly sized, and they sell a can for like $10, but you only need a half a teaspoonful to mix it in your polyurethane resin, and it becomes indestructible. It's literally unbreakable. I have stuff that I put out there and in the garden, and I'm making this long ass video of it, a reel that I will cut together over like over many months, and I just keep hammering at this bait with my big ass hammer, just keep hitting it, and it's not breaking. It's the same stuff that they use for glass fiber. Um,
Like boats and stuff like
like
that. Like
yeah, boats and
pilots
racing
boat,
cars, and then all yeah. So it's the same exact material, but it's basically left over from those production lines, and they are selling it for $10. Like I'm in love with that. It doesn't really add weight to the whole thing,
That's what I was
but
thinking.
no, it doesn't. Like I made around 100 of these big swim baits, and I still haven't gone through, I think, like the fifth of that can or whatever. I can send you guys the link.
Yeah, please do.
It's like $10 or so. It's amazing. It just becomes indestructible, and that's my latest thing that I fell in love with, because that was definitely one of my pet peeves. People coming back to me with, "Oh, I broke your bait. Well, what kind of cheap ass stuff you are selling me?" As it turns out, that they were fishing under a dam and full force chugged it into the concrete. Okay, you broke it.
Wait,
Don't.
you'll like this one. I sent someone a bait the other day. He's he's somebody who creates content. So he messages me. He's like in New York, so it shows up the next day. He messages me and he's like, "Sorry, man, um, my dog ate the bait," and I'm like, "What?" He, he has an outside dog. It's a blue tick hound, and it chewed the bait up. But it put like
Nice.
all it did was put teeth marks in the side. I don't know how it didn't get a hook in its mouth. And I'm like, bro, fish it. That's a great story. Like,
Yeah.
make your video about your blue tick hound eating the bait, and then go catch a fish on it.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to see it now. Plus, it's a
Yeah.
battle rap. They're meant to be like, you know, in the battle. That thing fought off a dog.
I've heard of a catfish before, but never a dogfish.
Dogfish, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think that this is a perfect time for a very brief word from our sponsor. We have yet another new sponsor this week. I don't know how we keep getting all these sponsors. We're a brand new podcast. It's
You're
crazy.
welcome.
It's Anthony's putting in hard work. So what's the name of the new company that's sponsoring us now?
This company's Skunk Again Industries. They make some of the worst baits. So yeah, check them out.
Okay. Well, here's a word from our sponsor, Skunked Again Industries.
Oh, hey, I didn't even see you there. Welcome to Skunked Again Industries, the most unreliable name in the fishing industry. My name's Lenny Gutbucket, founder, janitor, and part-time sandwich critic. Enough about me. What am I working on? The Invisilure. Just carving out one of our fast-sinking topwater lures. Guaranteed you're not going to catch anything with this. See that gill pattern? Yeah, that's nice. Let me show you a finished one. I know that's what you're here for. There's the perch. It's one of our worst sellers. I love making those. Let's get back to carving. You see where I put that? I always do this.
Okay. I'll definitely be considering never purchasing one of those baits, but that's fine. Thank you, Skunked Again Industries.
Thanks, Skunk Again Industries. That guy looked familiar.
He looked a little
Lenny.
shady. He looked a little shady, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I don't know. He had
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him outside my house before.
yeah. He had just struck me as
Thanks,
somebody
Lenny.
that has a screw loose, that Lenny gut bucket. But anyway, yeah. So we're gonna wrap up soon, but kind of just opening it back up to the group. Let's talk about what is everybody working on right now. So Anthony, you want to go first? You're our typical go first guy.
Right now I have 6 baits to scan, the 3D scan. I have 3 molds, one for Trevor. You know, it made me realize how long I actually take to get stuff done, because this is episode 3. And since episode 1, I've been working on his molds. But yeah, so I have 3 sets of molds. That herring bait doesn't swim how I want it to, so I'm just gonna have to keep.
What's the matter with it?
It doesn't swim.
Like,
Very descriptive of you, Anthony.
Yes, no, that's it. He understood.
It's
It's a
just-
dart, dude. It glides great on a straight retrieve. It's just like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'll send you pictures. You'll pick it out immediately and know what's wrong with it. I don't know. I've made the rear half twice, um, and it's probably something stupid. I almost feel like the pocket for the hinge, because I have it closed off, is not letting it get enough resistance to like
Hmm.
kick it side to side. That's just a theory, but that's what goes into R&D. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like you design a bait and it comes out of the mold and it's great.
Mhm.
It glides nice, but that's not what I was going for. I wanted it to be swim and glide.
What
Um,
what's the fin material?
what's the fin?
Rubber.
Yeah,
Rubber's
rubber.
rubber.
Rubber is rubber. No, I just made one out of silicone actually, and I'm gonna try it. But it was flex it. Let's flex it go down to 20. This is the urethane, so it's kind of stiff.
Yeah. Could you try just one for giggles? Just basic brush tails.
Hmm.
Because the thing is that the only advantage for these that I found is for glide baits is that these have the option of of contracting on this axis as well. And once like it kicks, once you stop it, it can kick back and basically add another stopping power, and that just creates more turbulence. I don't know. I tried these exact bait with silicone tails, and it never swam right. But with a brush tail, especially if you are an amazing craftsman like me who makes these perfectly straight brush tails, then this just creates so much random drag that it actually kicks the bait amazingly side to side. And like I feel like your uh, herring is like kind of similar in size, or a tiny bit longer than this,
It's
right?
like 8 inches without the tail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah. This will still work because this is just a single acid brush.
Yeah.
You know.
I have. Yeah.
At least they,
Yeah, yeah, that exact thing. It's a whole acid brush. That's it. And the great thing about this is that you can just unroll the
Mhm.
acid brush's aluminum sheet or whatever, and it will stay in place. You don't need to make the tail because it's actually glued at the bottom, and you can literally just plop it in like boop, and that's it.
Really? The
Yeah.
acid brushes are glued inside?
yeah, yeah. If
So
you
you don't
just
need to make the tails.
peel this part
Huh.
off, it's just a cylinder that's wrapped around on itself. You just take some split ring pliers or needle nose and just peel it open.
Yeah.
And you can pop that right out of there. Some if you buy the really cheap ones,
I
yeah.
like how you had it handy.
I've got a whole
You see?
set. Yeah, I use them for
Yeah,
great
yeah,
bait.
yeah.
Yeah, it's glued together. But there it
Hmm.
is. There you guys are. You can see it. Yeah, it's. I mean, I get these at Harbor Freight, so they're the top quality, but they're also the cheapest. So, but yeah, they like I just popped that one out of there. You didn't even have to really unroll it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
it'd be a
That's
good
the
Yeah,
test.
first
yeah.
thing I'll try. Because if I can avoid making the rear mold for a third time, that'd be great. Because I
And you,
like the way it looked.
and you can, I
Yeah,
mean, you can
that's
squeeze
it.
them. You can squeeze them and kind of form them to where they, and yeah, they're not super thin, but it doesn't sound like that's what you're looking for in this
Yeah,
scenario. You want some drag.
yeah, yeah. It just adds amazing drag, and especially with yours, where yours is more head heavy, right? The front section is much longer than the back section.
It is, but not with the tail on it. And because the tail is so stiff, I feel like it's messing the proportions up by extending the rear. So it's
Hmm.
actually making the front shorter and the rear longer rather than vice versa. But when I swim it without a tail, it, doesn't work right at all because it doesn't have anything there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this could really solve it.
Well, I'm gonna try it. Don't you worry, and I'll report back.
Great.
Be waiting.
Victor, what are you working on right now?
Oh, do you want to add another hour to this podcast?
I don't care. I got nowhere to be. Maybe not a whole hour. Just give us the outline version.
Yeah, I freshly started making these glides because, like, honestly, I love these hyper realistic baits, but I mostly throw these because these are just unbeatable in action. They are amazing. I love making these. If anyone wants to start making baits, then go look for Cedar Picket fans Picket, whatever you call it. Those boards will cost you $3 and it will make you exactly 51 of these baits. So yeah. So that and also I have I think like 140 of these sitting in my garage
What?
in different stages. Because the reason why I love these is because I could buy the cheapest polyurethane on Amazon for $30 and make like, yeah, I think that 141 of these baits. And I can only make 25 of this. So yeah, I need to paint those, but I also need to assemble those. I'm making like right now I started to do more trades with people because I realized that okay, now my dreams came true. I'm finally the guy who can make baits for them for himself that he would actually buy. It's awesome, but I can actually acquire other people's baits if I just send them my baits. So that means that, you know, I only need to spend 2 hours and, as you said, $8 to buy a bait that would otherwise cost $200. And everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love it.
That's the other, like, I just started trading with everyone. Like, most recently, I got a bait from Perco in exchange for one of my trout. And also, like, mostly I'm just in a vegetative state because I'm waiting for no pressure, Anthony, but I'm just waiting for those STL files from my scanned bait so I can start playing with those.
Holding up the whole
Yeah.
show, Anthony. You're holding up the whole business.
And also I feel guilty because I have like 3 gallons of plastisol in the garage, so I should really do something with that as well. Because I just posted that swim bait in Blender. I really need to make that mod as well. Yeah, there's some stuff.
A few things, yeah. And plus, you know, busy being a neuroscientist by day, that's kind of probably eats up some of your time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, because I just got promoted to faculty, so a lot more responsibility.
Congratulations.
None of us know what that means.
Thanks.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, whichever is more applicable.
Yeah, both. And you know, mostly my kids, they eat up most of my time. Yeah.
We all know that
Luckily
story.
they love. Yeah. Luckily they love fishing. So
That's good.
it's all good.
That's good. Awesome. What about you, Trev?
There's not too much new going on this past week, to be honest. Planning for my daughter's birthday on Sunday. That's just, I'm over it already with my wife. Listen, bro, like I said yesterday, she's turning 2, my baby, but, you know, my wife's acting like she's never going to see her again. I'm like,
We're not shipping her off to college.
no. So it's been a very exhausting week, you know, just, yes, okay, you know, running around, just
That's the right answer.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
What's
it.
the
I'm
theme?
preoccupied.
What's the theme of the party?
Minnie Mouse.
Nice.
I like it. It's a good 2-year-old.
Yep.
Good 2-year-old party.
Wait, what? Minnie Mouse is the girl?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
I'll have a better answer next week.
Are you? Well, you're also making
That's-
tons of I see you post baits every day, so it's not like you're not doing stuff. It's just you're the
Listen, that's
you're a machine.
a
when it
real
comes to
life
stuff.
answer.
Yeah,
That's
I like
this
it.
is real life, man. The bait making is there, but kids' birthday parties don't stop.
You got weeks
yeah.
like that,
No.
man. You got weeks like that. It's just gonna happen. It's gonna. Cool. Well, I guess is it my turn?
Yeah.
Not to make Anthony feel any worse, but I will be soon sending him something to 3D Scan that we're collaborating on. And Victor, I'm glad that you're here and that you're really smart because you may be able to tell me because I have no idea. I made this because I thought it looked cool, and I tried to make sure make sure that I added in the elements of a lipless crankbait that I knew needed to be there, like the flat front and the flat angled front and the placement of the line tie. But I'm going to show this camera first, just so they can see what I'm talking about here, and don't worry about that part. You'll see why that happened in the video. But now let me show it to you and see if I can get a good.
Mm-hmm.
If it's there.
Yeah.
So it's
gonna work.
the only thing
Alright,
I'm worried about is the fins stabilizing it too much, and I don't know about the flat, wide tail. I've never made one like this, so I'm just I don't know. It could work great. I have no idea though. I've got a water chested. I'm close to that, but just
I'm
wondering if you have.
confident in it.
I'm confident too.
What's that thing called? This one on the belly. That's the fin that stabilize. Like it will create a narrower action if you have that fin there, and if you don't have it, then it will have a much wider action. I don't know this from experience. I know that the engineer Dangler made a whole YouTube video about placement, and he tried out how on a lipless crankbait. I can try to find that video because I remember the thumbnail. And in that video, he tried out how on a lipless crankbait the fin on the back or the fin on the belly will affect the action. And I think he found that the fin on the top will actually like stabilize, like center it more. It won't blow out. It won't go sideways that much. But the fin on the bottom will just make it narrower and then kind of like not the desirable.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
I try to make it as small as possible.
File it down. I will send you that video.
Yeah. And I'll probably test it out with it on there anyway. It's not. It would take me a few minutes just to knock that off and sand it all smooth. So if it's, but I'm glad to hear that the top fin is the one that I actually really like. So that's the one I want to keep. So I'm glad to hear that will hopefully keep it actually helps rather than hurt. But yeah, thank you.
Are you trying out? Are you trying out like 2-3 different line type placements?
I have 2 marked out right now, and I don't think you can see them on the camera, but there's one that's right in front of the fin, and then one that's a little further down, kind of more on the ridge itself than right in front of the fin. So I've got 2 marked out that I'm going to try out and see which one gives a better action. If you have suggestions, I'm totally open to it. I don't want to be another person that comes to you every day with questions, but I will if you're okay with it.
No, I just really like that idea where they don't ask me where I saw this. I just don't remember that. There was a guy who made this hybrid bait that was sort of similar in shape that yours, and the first line type placement was the same that you showed, the one in the back, but the other one was a tiny bit more forward, and that with this narrow but kind of flappy tail fin, it actually made it a really cool looking swim bait, just one piece. You know, kind of like the the musky bait,
Oh, okay.
those 1-piece swim baits. It works. If
Wait,
you
where
just
was
place
the
it.
line sorry?
So not at the front,
So
but like yeah,
Like a
a
little further?
tiny bit forward.
Yeah, like
Like above the eye.
Yeah, kind of.
more
Oh
towards the
yeah,
center of the flat spot.
yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try that too.
Yeah, instead of going like this, that's the line tie placement on the back, like completely, where it will go, where it will act like the classical lipless crank, but you can convert it to this like kind of down swimming swim bait.
Oh, so he left it with 2 different tie-on points to it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
We could do that also.
Yeah.
Even with the wire,
Yeah.
I could just have it looped twice.
Yeah. But yeah, Anthony's going to 3D scan this and make me some molds for it. After he's done with everybody else's, this is just for a YouTube video that I'll post later in a couple of months probably. But and we're going to see what we can make out of it. My Forstner drill bit, when I was trying to drill the eye sockets, it walked on me and just completely tore it out. And so the genius that I am decided to flip it over and try to get on the other side, and it did the exact same thing. So I just filled it in and sanded it smooth, and he's going to add the eye sockets in post. So that's where we're at with that. And then I'll show a sneak preview of this just for a second. That's the
Oh yeah.
the Slim Thick 2.0, starting R&D on that. Who knows if it'll work well, but I've got 3/4 of the molds of the masters printed at this point in time, and then I'll have to pour them. And I'm hoping I go to Canada on a pike, walleye, basically whatever we can catch trip the second week of June. So I'm hoping to have 1 or 2 of those ready to see if they're good for the big stuff. It'll be around 8 inches when it's done, maybe 8.5. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. But well,
That's cool.
thank you. Fellas, it is that time. We're going to wrap it up with our question of the week. We have another great question that was submitted by a viewer. And I'm going to answer this question first because my answer is sure to be the most underwhelming. And then I'll let you guys actually talk about the real stuff, okay? But the question comes from Dorkfish Tackle. And the question is, what is your preferred rod for swim baits? Now, I may get completely ostracized from the bait making community for this, but I have it sitting right here because I couldn't remember the name of it, because what I did was I went to Bass Pro and I bought the cheapest 4-ounce rod I could find, and it's called a Bass Pro Shops Power Plus Trophy Class. It's 7.6 heavy, 1 to 4 ounces. Yeah. And it works just fine for me. I know that there are great rods out there that would probably be better, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works perfectly fine for me. So that's my boring answer to that and honestly, it's the only swim bait rod I've ever had or tried. So I don't even know that it's technically a swim bait rod. It's a 4-ounce rod, and that's what I needed, but it works. So that's my answer. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I like the Dobbins Fury series. The what is it? Medium heavy 7.9.
7.95.
Something like that. But it's 1 to 5 ounces. It's pretty good. I mean, I throw everything from soft plastics, top water, big baits on it. It's decent.
Yeah, you have some really cool rods. I still remember when the Chipmunk arrived and you sent me some pictures with the bait tied on. I saw some of your rods. Yeah.
I have some pre-kid rods, where I was able to spend $200, but to be honest, I fish just as well with $100 rod as I do a $200 rod.
Yeah.
Maybe even better with the cheaper rod, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't baby it as much.
Yeah, exactly.
I throw it around, throw it in the car. It's easy. Easy to replace.
Yep. What about you, Anthony?
I like the 795 also from Dobbins. Um, I that thing fell out of my truck at 60 miles per hour, and it was perfectly fine. Um, I dropped the St. Croix out, and that thing cracked in half. So that's a testament to that Dobbins rod. But also, I got a Daiwa rod um, because the one thing about the Dobbins is I feel like it's rated up to 5 ounces, but once you get closer to 3 or 4, you're kind of like throwing your shoulder out. So I got a Daiwa rod that was actually like $90. I bought it in the hospital when my wife was giving birth, just to treat myself. And yeah, that thing's awesome. I like that one also.
Nice. Yeah, the this is a 4 ounce rod, but I've thrown an 8 ounce bait on it before, and it did just fine. So score one for the cheap stuff, right? What about you, Victor? What's your go-to?
I actually have the same diver rod that Anthony bought because for a long time I didn't have a dedicated swim bait rod. Or like I threw that around, but on non-dedicated Berkeley lighting rods and stuff like that. And Shimano SLX. That's the other that I picked up. And the one that I've been waiting for a long time to try out is the Ugly Stick casting rod. I have to try that out because I love Ugly Stick. I feel like Ugly Stick is it's my spirit animal. Basically, that's the rod equivalent of my bait making.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with an ugly stick. I've had several of them.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah, and they're you can beat the hell out of them, and that's
Yeah.
no
Both of
judgment.
my kids are decked out with Ugly Sticks and Shakespeare rods. So.
I feel like the odd man out. I hate my ugly stick. Bending combo. I feel like it just has too much bend in it.
That makes it more interesting. That makes it more fun.
Yeah, but like you've been kind of spoiled by knowing what quality is with St. Croix and stuff like that. Yeah, I was using my Shakespeare 5-foot ultralight for bass fishing for the first 3 months. So
That's true. There was a time when I did love my ugly stick.
Yeah.
All reliable.
Also, it's like what you throw in it, because obviously I wouldn't use an ugly stick for drop shot.
Yeah.
I will throw a spinner on it every day of the week, because it will, like the fish will hook itself. But that's no finesse.
Yeah, ugly stick's not known for their finesse rods, but great. All right, gentlemen, thank you. Victor, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
It was a pleasure.
We couldn't have asked for a better first guest on the podcast. Thank you for being willing to do it and on such short notice. I think we all learned something. Hopefully all of you watching learned or listening learned something as well. If you didn't, then you weren't paying attention, because there was a lot of knowledge bombs dropped throughout this 2-hour conversation. But thank you, Victor. Thank you all for watching and sticking with us through this. Don't forget to, like and subscribe and whatnot. Comments down below. I got to do all the YouTube stuff.
Smash the comments
and write your
subscribe.
Leave a like button. Yeah, anyway. Thank you all, and we'll see you again next time.
Okay.